This is Best of 5 weekly FGC talk show. Tonight on the show, we're going to declare our everlasting love for Smash Brothers and declare the rest of the show to it from here on out. Yep. There's nothing else other than that.
Yeah, this show is about Smash. What's that new Fortnite game?
I think it's called Fortnite.
No, there's a new
Apex,
Fortnite. Apex,
Heroes or Legends or some shit.
Yep.
Yep. So that's what it is. Hope you're into that. Thank you, Grown Up Mike, for subbing to the channel. No, just kidding. We will be talking a little bit about Smash because it broke, maybe not records, but certainly was an impressive showing at Genesis 6. I know you have a lot to talk about that. CPT and its calendar and rule sets and everything has been revealed, and Steve will have an encyclopedic breakdown of it. Also, we had a combat cast in which they revealed Cabal. Devora was not revealed at the combat cast, but it was also revealed, and Kena was revealed at the Brazil event, and that's pretty exciting. I'm talking about that. And then, if that's not enough, we're very excited because we have new father, friend of the show, Justin Wong, on the show tonight as our guest. And we'll be talking to him about what it's like being a new dad, talk to him about Chinese New Year, and talk about Echo Fox. What's up with that? What's up with Echo Fox, man?
I mean, it's hard to say. They've been dropping like flies. There's still a few left on the roster, but certainly not the expansive FGC roster we saw, a few months ago.
Yeah. So we'll save that discussion for him. Right now, we're going to kick off the show by introducing our panel, joined as we always are by John Velociraptor Guerrero.
What's up, guys?
Have you survived the Mortal Kombat news reveals and onslaught?
Yeah, just getting through it all. Really excited. The most important bit of information I just posted just before the show went live, that Ultra Instinct Shaggy will not be in Mortal Kombat 11. So
was that confirmed or was it just a tweet? I didn't get to catch the cast.
No, Tyler Lansdowne looked at the camera and said, it's not happening, dead meme. And then they tweeted hashtag RIP Shaggy. And good riddance. Okay. The internet loses, it's like, this would be a funny joke. And then they forget that it was a funny joke and they think it's a real thing. And sometimes they just got to be regulated.
We're also joined by somebody who just subbed to the channel, Ace King Offsuit Jerk. He's back and he's better. He's in fighting shape. Under no circumstances will he have to leave to grab water because his throat is scratchy. He is back at 100.
Maybe 80, 85. I got to come through for the show, though. I got to come through for the people.
Why don't you go ahead and start off by coming through with a recap, my man?
I think we can do that. A couple events this weekend. On the Street Fighter side of things, this weekend was the kickoff for the Japanese version of the Street Fighter League.
Hold on a second. I'm going to stop you right there. We heard about the Street Fighter League. The Rage League with the cool names and cooler trailer intro is not new. That happened last year. Are they in league, or are they different things?
This is a new, slightly different league. It's being run by Rage, so a lot of those team names and colors and cool intros are carrying over. As an aside, please follow Doc Fugu on Twitter. He's got a complete breakdown of everything going on with this. He translates recaps, parts of interviews into English, so you can get a better feeling of what's going on here. But yeah, this is the one which has the License Pro, the high class player, which is sort of the online qualifier, online/offline, and the beginner class, which was some sort of celebrity. They had the draft actually. My favorite part is that Daigo picked a guy named Pineapple Nagashima. And he basically picked him because, they could go drinking together more or less. That was pretty much the reason he drafted him.
He's a comedian?
He's a comedian, yeah. Yeah, you've got comedians here. You got singers, actors that were in this beginner class. They played some games to kind of give people a feel of where their skills were at. Kunisada, who got picked up by Mago, is widely considered to be the best of the group. So everyone wanted him except for Daigo, pretty much. Who wanted
he wanted Pineapple Nagashima.
So the first two rounds of that competition took place this past weekend. Good weekends for Mago's Team Scarlet and Nemo's team Aurora, both picking up 8 points. The format's a little different. When each team plays, the beginner plays the beginner, high class versus high class,
That's how it should be.
pro versus pro. The pro match is worth 3 points, high class is worth 2, and the beginner is worth 1. So Scarlet and Aurora picked up 8 points each, both going one going 5-1 and 3-3 in their 2 games. The other going 2-4, but rebounding with a 6-0 was Scarlet. So that will continue this weekend. And again, follow Doc Fugu on Twitter for the links to the recaps, links to future episodes, all of that. The other big weekend event was on this side of the pond. It was Genesis. It was the first really, really big Smash event since the release of Ultimate. The 2 big games, of course, were Melee and Ultimate, the singles tournaments. Hungry Box.
Boo.
God damn it, John. Seriously?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I bet. What a jerk.
Hungry Box ended the losers bracket run of Axe, who Axe lost in like round of 32, I want to say, and rattled off 7 wins to get to grand finals. Pushed Hungry Box to the limit in that first set, but Hungry Box pulled it off. To the delight of some, to the dismay of others in the crowd. There's an incident we'll talk about a little later on. The other big tournament was the Smash Ultimate Tournament, and that was won from the losers bracket by MK Leo. Came back, lost in his first match in top 8, but made the run back to get the title here. If you watched any, I watched very little of this live, but Zach Ray, what little I did see, very strong Japanese player. He came in and really impressed. Tweak, one of the guys who we said was the number 1 player right now, got knocked out just before top 8. So.
Yeah, I mean, notably, Tweak was the number 1 seed and got 9th. And then in that top 16, you see the names Zach Ray and Prodigy. Zach Ray is 15 and Prodigy is 14.
My goodness.
So, are they the oldest ones at the tournament?
Yes, in fact, every other player was actually an unborn child. So, very crazy, yeah.
I
Basically
can't
old
imagine
men.
how they got their hands on the controller. Okay, so
but yeah, 15 and 14. I mean, we've heard Sonic Fox was like 17 when he started making huge waves, and Dragon was young too, and various other players. But 14 to be like top 16 in these gigantic 2,000-man tournaments at 14, that's just insane.
It's not even a joke. It's like the joke is it's a game for kids, or they're the oldest kids there. But that's just straight impressive.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's quite incredible.
How I mean, do you know how long these kids have been playing?
You've got to imagine since they were pretty young. I mean, MK Leo was like a phenom in Mexico like 6 or 7 years ago, and he's only like 19 or 20 now.
My goodness.
So, I mean, a lot of these kids start young and get good early, and they, it's like learning a language. Their hands grow up playing Smash Bros, man.
I wonder if any of these kids, I mean, I haven't done my research here, but I wonder if these kids like started playing on the Wii U. Would that surprise you if they were this good?
I mean, Justin, that's actually a good point. Justin will probably, Justin was a top player when he was about that age as well. So, you gotta wonder how that affects you.
I keep trying to download this grand finals of Ultimate so we can take a look at it, but I guess we don't have it. Is that the end of the recap, my man?
There were a few other tournaments that went down at Genesis besides those 2 big singles tournaments. You had Dark Wizzy and Salem teaming up under the MVG banner to take the Ultimate doubles title. Pew Pew and SVAC done for CLG in Melee. Big weekend for KYSK. Got 3 wins. He won the singles title in 64. He and Prince won both doubles tournaments as well. So strong weekend for him. And then Full Street with the win in Rivals of Aether singles got himself to qualify for a free trip to the Rivals of Aether World Championship a little later on this year. So congratulations to everyone you see on that screen.
Excellent. Let's talk about Genesis. I am outraged by the treatment of one Juan de Biedma Hungrybox. I'm offended. I want my opinion known and heard, but I didn't actually watch it live. What happened?
I mean, people were just chanting, fuck HBox, screaming, like booing him when he won, etc. It's very strange because it's hard to get the story of exactly what has led to all of this. And I come at this as an outsider, where every time someone says fuck Hungrybox, it's not just that he played Puff, it's that he used to be some huge douchebag. But I've never had any light shed on to how bad this was. And whatever it was, short of something that would have him banned from the scene, I can't imagine it should lead to this level of just public hate. I mean, he said he's been jeered on at public supermarkets. He gets booed basically every time he's at a tournament at this point.
Yeah, there's that story where he was like at a supermarket and he was like, "Hey, are you Hungrybox?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Go fuck yourself."
I mean, I understand that some of these kids don't like the way that he plays, but that shouldn't be invitation to do this. I mean, I just can't imagine any excuse for this sort of behavior. And
it feels like this is when we were talking about Ultra Instinct Shaggy earlier, right? And it's like it starts as like a kind of a joke, and everyone goes, "Okay, it'd be funny if we all chimed in together and made fun of," or in this case, it's like, let's make fun of HBox for doing something that we really shouldn't be berating him about, but let's do it anyway, and that's funny. And then somewhere along the line, they lose sight of the fact that this started as a joke, and it just carries on into reality, and then feelings begin to actually follow this, and people actually act this way. But it's like, how could you? I mean, this is news to me that he used to be a douche or might have been a douche before.
It has to be the gameplay.
About it, right?
It has to be the gameplay because Leffen has done things that were as bad or worse as whatever he did back in the day, and was banned from the scene at one point for it. And he's pretty much like the most beloved figure in Smash at this point, right? Like maybe the most influential. So
the dude plays slow, right? That's the whole
that's
thing
literally why they hate him. I mean, it can't be anything else.
So you gotta also hate Justin Wong, who's gonna join us later, right? Because that's his thing. I mean, Floyd Mayweather, right, plays slow, and I mean, and he actually is a douche. And so it's like there's a lot of people to hate before you're gonna hate on Hungrybox, man.
Now, okay, so
and I don't like. They all seem to have grown up at least enough to where, I mean, as you said, it's got to be the play. And if you're really trying to make someone feel this bad for beating everyone's ass in your favorite game, then you have to reevaluate a lot about your life.
But then, like, why? Because there's one thing to be like, oh, great, man, this guy plays lame. Doesn't want to play lame. I'll come back when his match is over, or something to that effect, right? But why is it so widespread? Why is it so accepted? And why is it that in a game where this is a viable strategy, people are so upset about it? Why wouldn't you appreciate the talent that it takes to play this lame?
I'm gonna get, and I like the Smash community, and I love Smash Ultimate. It's like the only game I'm playing at this point. But I put, like, in my view, a lot of it is that there's a lot of top Smash players who invite this a lot of the time. And I'm not saying all, and I'm not even saying most, but I'm saying there's a few big names in the Smash scene who talk about how Jigglypuff is ruining Smash, how Melee needs to be saved, and they might be joking, but the fan base of this game, legitimately, like not joking at all, is a lot younger. There's a lot of 14-year-olds who read their favorite players say Jigglypuff is ruining Smash. And instead of taking it as ha-ha, they take it as this guy's ruining fucking Smash, And it's crazy, and it sounds crazy, but it's true. And it's gotten to the point where it's affecting this dude. And, I mean, you look at the Genesis 6 results, of the big names you remember from a couple years ago, PPMD's gone, Armada's gone, Leffen didn't enter. Mango's been taking the game slightly less seriously. I mean, you're losing players. I don't think you want to lose Hungrybox. As much as you feel like Jigglypuff's ruining Melee, I don't think you want to lose another big name.
And
so
Melee,
what's the remedy?
Well,
what's the remedy, dog? It's like, how do we combat this, or what should the Smash community be doing? And I don't know that you guys would necessarily even have an answer.
I would love for some of these top players to come out and be like, please stop fucking doing this. Like all of them, like all the best players.
Yeah, maybe if they,
no, because I mean, Leffen, and yet again, I don't have any personal direct issue with Leffen. I don't really know him at all, but I mean, he did come out and say this shouldn't happen to Hungrybox, and that was a good thing. And I'm hoping it'll change stuff in the future. He did outright say that. But for a long time, he was talking a lot of shit.
Now, it's unfortunate. Go ahead, Steve.
Let me take this in a slightly different direction here. Not that different, but how is I understand and I agree that chanting "fuck HBox" it feels like a line too far. But do we want to say that booing is inappropriate? Like this feels like
No, I understand what you're saying.
How is it different from like booing Tom Brady because he wins so much? How is it different from booing the road team, to create that home field advantage? I don't know if, any sort of negative reaction from the crowd should be stamped out like that. This in particular, I think this is just dumb. But in general, I don't want to create a rule that says you can't boo. Because I
agree with that.
I agree, and so I'm trying to place where this might be different, where you have an FGC event and an FGC player. How is that different than the established sports like in football and like with Tom Brady and Floyd Mayweather, all that kind of stuff? It feels like maybe, and this is just off the top of my head, but maybe a significant difference is the fact that the Smash players or an FGC player is more accessible and more part of the group. Like they get off the stage and they don't have like security escort into their private room in the back. They walk immediately back into that crowd. And maybe there's some significance there that like they are very much part of this, whereas like other celebrities and professional athletes and such are removed in a lot of ways from everybody else. And so it's like more of a real and more of a like a real insult, a real threat compared to if you're talking smack about an actual like an athlete or someone like that. But yeah, I don't know. It's different, and I'm not sure exactly why.
I think you hit it. It's that there's with other sports, there is that level of separation between the players and the fans. At Evo, I could go and cheer somebody on during top 8. I could conceivably be the person in top 8, if I didn't suck, which is never going to happen. But it feels like the last few years, with this esportsification, as you like to say, there's sort of become more of that separation in place. FGC is becoming less group of people hanging together and more of a spectator sport. And I think booing and stuff like that is part of that because it's basically in the viewer's eyes, they're just putting on a show, no different from the NFL, no different from any other sport.
Except that one is an entire team of high-paid professionals, and the other is a single in an open bracket setting. It's ridiculous.
Okay, tennis.
In tennis, if they boo, they shut them the fuck up. The umpire will say, "We're not going to play until you guys are quiet."
Yeah, same with golf, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
what I was going to say, we're not going to solve it
yeah.
here. We're not going to solve it here. What I was going to say is, every time we bring up Smash, it's always something negative, and I don't want that to be the case. They also have a lot to celebrate, and one of those things is the incredible viewership numbers. They peaked at 150 for Melee.
They killed it with this tournament.
Even up against the Super Bowl, they hit 150.
They killed it with this tournament. The production values are really good. They had stats after every match. They weren't crazy stats, but I made a tweet about this last week.
Yep.
You don't need crazy stats. All
give me
you
something.
need is something on the screen. And then you saw in the screen chat, people are like, "Oh wow, like his average kill percent was 90. Like he was really getting those early kills." All you need is just something for people to talk about. Something that's not the stream will be back in 7 minutes.
Yeah.
And they had that. And they had great commentary, and the matches seemed to flow pretty well. Melee took a long time, but that's just because of the nature of the way the game works.
Fuck HBox too, right?
Fuck HBox
dragging
too.
it out
He
like
really
that.
ruined Melee. Killed it. But it was entertaining. The seating got fixed, and it seemed to work out. The level of play was really high. Leo won, but it wasn't free by any means. He went to losers. All of his sets that were losers were close. It's really fun that we had a top 8 with 8 different characters and 8 players who all looked like they could have won on the right day. And I know part of that's because it's early in the game, but compared to, say, Smash 4, where people were already starting to get sick of Zero winning at this point, you can't blame a player for being the best. It seems like this game is hyper competitive. It seems like it's balanced. It seems like people like it, and it seems really positioned to be popular for a long time.
It is crazy high numbers right off the bat. Does anybody remember how well Street Fighter V did like at that first final round? I know they had a crazy entrance. There was like they capped at some crazy high number, but 1048.
Oh, that's entrance.
Okay, that was for
yeah,
final round Street Fighter V. But has Street Fighter V ever gotten that kind of viewership?
Only Evo, I think.
Yeah, outside of Evo, I'm trying to see if I can pull it up. But
I mean, to generally answer what I think you're kind of asking, and I think I said this last week on this show, I'm not sure, but you know, when you hear about like facts about how far stars are away and stuff, and it's like it's amazing every time, even though you've kind of heard them before at a certain point. And every time I hear Street Fighter or just any game in the fighting game community compared to Smash numbers, I get that same feeling. I go, wow, Smash is as big as as far away as a star is. You know, it's ridiculous. They blow everyone else out of the water with their following time after time. So you know, that's just kind of the general reaction. But Steve, if you have the actual numbers, I'm sure we'll all be blown away.
I can't find it.
Okay. Well, we could keep talking about.
Just got it. Just under 100,000 for final round 2016, which was the first CPT event of
and
Street
you
Fighter
could make
V.
the argument this is the first major Infinite event, right? Sure, so surely there's been other events, but Genesis 6 is the big
this
dog.
is the super major, the first one. Yeah.
Okay. Well, shout outs to the Smash community and them turning out. And you've said it before, like all the locals here are like packed with players.
Oh, there's 4. I haven't gone to any of them, but there's 4 weeklies in Austin, and they all get over 50 people each.
My goodness. All right. So, again, congratulations to that community and their game and their turnout and their events. And hopefully we can expect a lot of cool shit from them this year. CPT, Capcom Pro Tour. They made some announcements. No new characters or any kind of discussion towards DLC characters for this season. But we do have an idea of what the esports side of things will look like, the Capcom Pro Tour. They announced the number of events, locations, dates, all that good stuff. Steve, why don't you take it from there?
Yeah, this came out, I believe, on Wednesday. It was either Wednesday or Thursday, so not too far after our show. The format looks a little bit different. You know, a lot of things are going to be the same. You know, top 32 making it to Capcom Cup, defending champion gets the spot. But there are some changes, some key changes. One of the first is that there's going to be a few fewer events, only 54, down from 66 last year, so about a 20% drop. The biggest chunk of that is going to be coming from fewer online events. Last year, each region had 4 online events. This year, regions will only have 2 or 3, and with those, every player only gets 1 shot. So, NA East will only have 1 online event. NA West will only have 1 online event. There are a few new regions getting online tournaments. Latin America is getting split into 3 regions. So now you've got the West, which will primarily be like Mexico and whatnot. The East, which will be Dominican and the surrounding islands, and then South for South America. Australia getting its own, as well as the Middle East. So those regions will have their own online events. The big change is the 2 big changes format-wise. Regional finals will no longer award regional points, just global points. So that top 8 for the regional finals will be set before the Open Premiere.
Smart.
The other big one is there is a new tier of events called Super Premiere. There will be 3 of these events throughout the year: Evo, the Japan Premiere event, and then the North America Regional Finals. The Open Premiere at that event, I should say. Those events will have larger point spreads, the winner getting 1,000 points instead of 700 for a Premiere. Points going out through the top 128, which I wasn't able to fit all of them here. Points-wise, the winning means more at ranking events. Getting top 3 means more. You get 200 for winning a ranking event, 100 for second, and 80 for third. All of those are up from last year. The 1 point for making top 8 is now 5 points. Cosmetically different, but not a huge change. The premiers largely unchanged, although second place now gets 350 instead of 270. And then super premiers slightly, they award less than Evo, but more than obviously the premier, or they award less than Evo did last year, I should say.
It was like 1750 for winning, wasn't it? Or was it 1250?
It was 1750.
Yeah, that's a huge jump there, and there are only 3 of them. But I mean, years previous, it was only Evo, so there was only 1. So.
Right. And the big thing is, if you win Evo, you're probably going to do well at other events too. So it's not going to be, I don't see that being a massive difference maker in terms of, I only got 1,000 instead of 1,750 last year. I might not make Capcom Cup.
So, guys, what prayers were answered and which ones were left unanswered? I'll put it to you guys.
I want to ask Steve flat out because, I mean, okay, I want to go straight to the Latin American thing, the whole Brazil stuff. That was something we spoke about multiple times last year. And so that was remedied because they moved it over to Puerto Rico, right? So now the Latin American finalists can actually get paid out, although the payouts for regional finals have been lowered in general, if I recall correctly. But as much of a win as that was, people are still saying that Latin America got the short end of the stick this time around, and I wanted to get Steve's opinion on that.
Well, I think I'm not sure about the regional finals getting less pay. They get the same as the regional final itself gets as much pay as the Open Premier, which gets the same amount of pay as regular premiers. So
right,
that
it was like $7K for first, but I think last year if you won a regional, it was like $12K.
Yeah, I think it was a $20,000 prize pool for that. So that went down a little bit. The super premiers will each have a $50,000 prize pool. So the total pricing for the tour is up to $600,000. The Latin American thing, they're getting a little bit short shifted, mostly South American players, because remember last year you had 3 or 4 events in Brazil itself, plus 2 online events that Brazilian players could enter. This year you only have 1 event that Brazilians can enter. You don't have as many ranking events in general in the region, in all regions, I should say. And a lot, with the regional final moving out to Puerto Rico instead of Brazil, that makes it a lot harder for South American players to be able to attend. So it's the road for a Brazilian player to make Capcom Cup is much more difficult now than it was in years past.
Yeah, much more expensive, frankly. Yeah, I mean, like it's price limiting for sure. I guess I'm jumping right into my thoughts. All of the changes seem to be in a good direction, at least. So that's a big pro. They added points to ranking events. People wanted that. They fixed the Latin America problem. I was going to pop off super hard if they didn't. So that's good. They removed some online events, and they made it so you can only enter 1, which I think is good. A few less events, that's good too. Everything seems to be in the right direction. They all seem to be pretty small pushes, which is, I guess, what the biggest complaint would be. But I'm going to be positive and say that the right direction is good. Even if it's not exactly where we want to be, it's way better.
And if our friend Michael Martin had anything to do with this, he is officially a Capcom esports boy, as he told me. Thank you for pushing it in the right direction. No SCR, though. What's up with that?
There is no SCR on the tour because this year there is no SCR. The organizers of the event, being Level Up Live, they came out shortly after the release of the Capcom Pro Tour schedule, and they made a statement saying they were taking the year off from SCRs. It said, quote, the TLDR of it is that with the time With time already stretched thin, planning and holding SCR with minimal time and attention would not do the event justice. Instead of focusing a majority of their time on one huge event, they, being Jimmy Nguyen and Alex Valle, the co-founders, will be focusing the time on several events to bring more opportunities for the community to enjoy. However, one advantage of SCR taking a break this year is that it gives us an opportunity to reschedule SCR for Q1/Q2 in subsequent years, something many in the community have asked us to do when we initially transitioned SCR to Q3-4 back in 2015. Because remember, it was, you had NCR and SCR within like 4 or 6 weeks of each other. So you'd have something go down there, and then you'd have the run back pretty quick. Now you have that 6-month gap, up until last year. But now we're getting back in, they're at least planning on getting back into that traditional both events in early spring schedule.
All right. Shall we talk about the Combat Cast?
Ooh.
Let's talk about Mortal Kombat.
Let's talk about Mortal Kombat 11. I snuck away at work and watched this entire thing. I wanted to make clips, but all I really ended up doing was just downloading the trailer when it came out. So obviously they revealed Cabal, which had already been teased at the reveal event because he ran by the screen real fast and they kind of faded to the shot or cut to the shot and you kind of oh my god, is that Cabal? There was also a Brazil reveal event, right, Alon? And by the way, I just wanted to ask you, Alon, you mentioned in the chat that Brazil has a huge MK following. What's that about? You're from Brazil, for people.
No, I'm not. Yes, I am.
Yes, you are.
Or am I? Who knows? No, I grew up playing Mortal Kombat in Brazil. Like, it was a popular thing. Like,
is it like King of Fighters in Mexico or what?
I guess. Yeah, we didn't have a lot of Street Fighter cabinets at the arcades, but we always had a Mortal Kombat cabinet.
Hell yeah. All right. Well, and you, if I'm not mistaken, are a Cabal main for Mortal Kombat 9?
Yeah, I played the shit out of Cabal in Mortal Kombat 9.
So you're probably excited to see this reveal.
Terrible person, yeah.
So cut to this because we're going to watch the Cabal reveal trailer. Donka and John, I don't think I've seen it. Or Steve,
No,
you
I
haven't
haven't
seen it?
I haven't seen it.
I have not.
So what I really want you guys to see, and I hope they have it in this trailer, is Fatality. It's sick, dude. It's
So
really
of course,
cool.
I'm from Chicago, the home of Mortal Kombat, and honestly, it's kind of crazy. It really is the home of Mortal Kombat, and a lot of the new designers, people like 16-bit and Dizzy and all of them, are from Chicago. Like they've really kept up the whole Chicago thing since the inception of this game, and it's completely unrelated to Cabal, who is currently beating the shit out of someone with some sticks. I remember this character.
Those are hook swords.
In Mortal Kombat 9, he was a huge zoner, and he had an infinite block string. And so you'd throw a bunch of things, and you'd do a knee, and you'd dash up. And in Mortal Kombat 3, he was really broken, too. So this has been a traditional problem character. It's going to be interesting to see how they change him
The one
up.
thing they were mentioning in the Combat Cast is he's got crazy reach. One thing that surprised me was they mentioned, he's got that dash that puts you in a state where you can follow up.
Yeah.
Obviously, he has that still in this game. You saw it earlier in this little gameplay montage. But they were mentioning that he is unlike Scorpion. Scorpion's doesn't do that. Scorpion's spear does not actually lead to a combo unless you enhance it. So he's one of the few characters that can extend combos with a super move without having to... look at this, though. Look at this. Here we go.
This is his fatal blow.
This is his fatal blow. Check this
Where
out.
he rips your stomach completely open.
All right, now check out the
And
fatality.
that's not the end of the fight.
Yeah, here's the fatality. This is pretty slick.
And
I like
now
it.
he kills you. Also, this is
Watch
like
this.
the Flash.
Okay, he's running with you. He's got you hooked. Your face is falling off. And, wow. Is that him, too? Like, he came to the other... Oh, I don't want to be next.
Too late, bro. It says you're next. You're next. I don't think I have a shot of it here.
That looked cool.
But they showed... so they revealed some of his other skins, right? I guess every character has like 3 base skins that then you can kind of slightly modify. He's got a pre-burnt face, handsome-looking Cabal skin.
That's
yeah,
cool.
he looks kind of like Ragnar, I think it is, from the Viking. He's got like just a little tuft of hair and then a ponytail. But yeah, it's pre-burned Cabal, and you've never been able to play as unburned Cabal.
Let me see if I can find it
He's-
while you guys discuss.
I never even realized he was
popped
burned.
Dude, his skin is all melted off. What are you talking about?
His best fatality of all time from Mortal Kombat 3 or maybe it was Ultimate, I don't know. He takes off his mask and you see it, and then he screams at the opponent, and it scares their soul out of him.
Because he's so butt ugly under that mask.
So ugly.
I don't know. I always play Ermac.
Would be ugly shaming here in 2019, so we can't have that. So instead, he rips your intestines up and drags you across the ground. But yeah, he's always been burned. Yeah, he's always been burned. And this is the first time that you can play as Unburned Cabal, so that's a thing, I guess.
Yeah, I'll keep talking because I'm trying to find this damn shot of him.
Well,
I
just love. Go ahead.
I just love how international this game is becoming. You know, Alon talked about how much love it's getting in Brazil, and Kano got revealed on the Brazilian cast last week. They had the launch event in Europe and in Russia in addition to US. They had their the intro trailer, the music to that was played by British rapper 21 Savage. So
he's British?
I just love how international this game has become.
You're funny. Okay, I found it, but it's a damn video, so I don't know how I'm going to pull it up.
Yeah, I mean, this has become kind of a big thing, and this is kind of old school. This is what King of Fighters used to do back in the day. But the easiest way to get people excited about your game is to take characters out for a year and then to put them back in the next year, it seems like. Because then people are, oh, I know that character. I'm excited for them to be back.
So Ed Boon was briefly on the Combat Cast, like for the first 5 minutes, and then they played the trailer, and then he was mysteriously gone. But he did mention that was their thing. Like the characters from that era, they're excited to bring back. A character not from that era that they also revealed is none other than... No, not Shaggy. Shaggy is not in the game. In fact, I'm talking about Devora.
She's gnarly.
She looks gnarly, and she looks weird. She looks a lot different, but I kind of like it. I like that we have characters that look really strange and like non-human and weird robot bug things. So I'm excited for her. I think it's like kind of an out of the box move. We don't see that in a lot of fighting games. Like in Street Fighter, you have big dudes and you have hot girls, and that's 99% of what you get. And I feel like this is out of the box, and I think it's cool. And I'm excited to play Devora. She'll probably be my main if she's any good at all.
Can we get an enhance?
On if you looked on the Twitter comments where she was first revealed, and then we did a story on Event Hubs, and you look in the comments there, it may have been a case of snowballing because I personally didn't follow MKX enough to know which characters were especially loved by the community and which were not. But man, overwhelmingly, at least in those two avenues, people were saying this is not the fighter we want. This is so not hype. I do not want this character. She was not a fan favorite. Over and over. And
only I like this character.
Internet snowballing, where someone puts out a thought and then everyone just follows like mindless sheep, and it grows. But I wonder how many people do like her, because I don't know if she played especially annoying. I know she was really strong at first.
She was really strong at first and annoying, yes. But
don't you have a tech video with her?
I have many.
Dang. Now, there was also a third reveal. No, I'm not talking about Kano. I'm talking about Su Hao. He was revealed. Looked a little bit suspiciously like Kano.
It's really good that Su Hao is finally in the game. We were just talking about this. I like to think that we were a big part of this. But Su Hao's back. He's going to have his fatality from, I don't know. They're all those Mortal Kombats between 4 and 8 are the same.
Alliance.
They're all the same. None of them matter. And he's back.
JK, he's not in the game. That was somebody who shopped Kano to look like Su Hao, because that's what the developers did in that game. Okay, I'm excited for Mortal Kombat 11. I thought that the Combat Cast was cool. They showed a lot of Gira stuff,
Oh, you forgot the most important part we have to talk about.
Which is?
Shaggy not being in.
Talk about it then, guys.
He's not. He's not in, and we should rant about it. We should all send Ed Boon a lot of emails.
He did say y'all gonna flip when you see the wild-ass DLC that we have coming, but it almost sounded like he was referring to returning characters and not to guest characters. But knowing the NetherRealm team, they've had some crazy guest characters in Mortal Kombat.
I'm not going to say that it will be Shaggy, but I will say that it's not Velma.
Ooh. They had over 340,000 signatures on that petition for Ultra Instinct Shaggy when I checked earlier today to write the story about how he's not going to be in the game and people need to grow up. I would personally rather have Shaggy, the Jamaican musician that was popular in the early 90s and who is now teaming up with Sting, of all people. One other thing, though, before we move on from the Combat Cast stuff, Ed Boon also said, or somebody said, that there is another reveal coming up next week on the Combat Cast, because the second one's going to be next Thursday, and that it's a her, and that it's not D'Vorah. So another female character on the way.
It's going to be Katana.
Probably
I hope
someone
it's
like
Jade.
Katana. But...
Who do you think it's going to be, Steve? Me and John?
Oh, no, one of those. Or maybe like one of the traditional characters.
Who's the Goro?
Shiva.
I like Shiva too.
I would say maybe...
that's kind of... Or maybe Spindle. I'm thinking
You mean
maybe
Sindel? Who the hell's
Sindel.
Spindle? Maybe they'll reveal Dreidel.
I'm still sick. I'm sorry.
All right, which one of the mystery crew is each of us? Like, who's Velma? Who's the chat should decide on that.
I don't know. I mean, preferably it would be a cast of characters that aren't 50% female.
And that's fine.
But we'll let you decide, chat.
I got the spreadsheets. I got the knowledge. I got the info.
You're Velma.
I'm going to be Velma.
All right.
Yeah.
Jonathan, I think you're Shaggy.
The nerd part. I mean, the sexy nerd of the group, too.
All right, so which one of us is Daphne?
It's for the chat to decide.
Yeah, we'll let the chat decide.
I think that's got to be a friend. He's got that little sexy thing going on.
Ooh, Steve, thank you.
I'm Scooby. I probably am Scooby.
Yeah, you're Scooby. You want to be Scrappy Elon?
Elon's so scrappy, too.
You don't even offer him Scooby?
He's Scooby.
No.
Dog is
Just go
Scooby.
right to scratch.
Scooby's just,
What you got, Elon?
Scooby's just CGI.
Why I oughta.
I'm universally Scoob. Okay, I'll take it.
Wait, so we don't have a Fred?
All right.
Or Fred.
I'm definitely Fred,
That's fine.
apparently.
We'll get Freddie Prinze Jr. to join the show, and he can be
Okay,
Fred.
yeah. Freddie Prinze Jr.
All right, how about we get back to the show? All right, guys? So the other bit of news, and this was capped by a hilarious tweet by Steve, was Echo Fox dropping yet another player. Now, before we get into the slide here, our guest on the show here in about 10 minutes or so is Justin Wong, and he did not renew his contract. That was what he said on Twitter. We'll ask him about that because was there, in fact, a contract waiting for him? Again, that's what the tweet made it sound like, but these other players appear to be getting dropped. What happened at Echo Fox? That is my question. In the meantime, we can look at what has happened. And we have a handy slide here, courtesy of one Steve Ace King Offsuit Jurek. Let's take a look. Steve?
Yeah, this is Echo Fox came in. They made a big splash, especially in 2017 when they signed pretty much every top player under the sun, it felt like, to be on that banner. And this was something that Mr. Benet was talking about last week in his interview, where organizations kind of look at the FGC as a way to show how big of a deal they are, as opposed to something that is sustainable. And you look at how many members they signed in the past 2 years and how many are still there. Only 4 out of, at their peak, 14 under the banner. The biggest surprise is how quickly Punk was there. Mm-hmm. Just 6 months.
Is he the one with the shortest tenure?
He is the one by far with the shortest tenure.
I mean, if you notice, most of them left on October 8th of 2018.
The Great Purge.
So some sort of contract scheduling happened then.
So, and then you had Justin, who left a couple weeks ago, and then Tokido just announced. And not only did he announce that he was a free agent, if you look at the tweet, he said that his contract was. That profile pic is not a mistake. That is his current profile pic. If you go to Tokido's Twitter, his banner is gone. His profile picture is gone. He is just basically a blank person now.
Waiting to billboard someone else.
Yeah.
I'm going to his page right now. You're correct. It is, in fact, blank and blank. It's almost like Kenny Blankenship.
It seems strange that they'd all end on October of 2018. It makes you wonder if they bought him out or something. But why would you buy him out? There's no cap space or anything. There's no real reason.
Buy him out or pay him out of their contract.
And that was the thing. Like, you look at like JDCR and Saint specifically, both of those guys has qualified for the Tekken World Tour Finals. When they got cut, TWT Finals was the only event left that they had to go to for the rest of the year. And their trip to that was already paid for. So Echo Fox was saving almost nothing by cutting them at that point, and yet they still did.
You almost wonder if there had to be some sort of like interior like force for that to happen. I mean, like it just makes very little sense. As you said, they'd cut them then.
So my understanding is that there is a VC fund that is funding Echo Fox.
Right.
I wonder if they, who maybe don't have as much eyes on the community and the schedule of the tournament season, were like, pull the trigger.
Yeah,
Probably.
it's very possible. I mean, as you notice, there's 4 players left. You have 2 Smash players, and they didn't cut any other Smash players? No. So they've kept all the Smash players they ever got. You've got the Kill Sage, who's their most recent signature guy they signed, and you have to imagine his contract isn't even up yet to be cut if he would be. And you've got Sonic Fox, who's made the most money in fighting games the last couple of years. And it happens that Sonic Fox and Kill Sage both played DBFZ. So I don't know if it was game targeted. I don't know what it was targeted at, but it's crazy, and it feels like more might be leaving at some point, right? Like there's no reason to believe they're going to start picking up more players again from what we're seeing here.
Now, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but one of my concerns is if there were, I mean, we heard Alan Benet say it, right? You're not going to get your money back. There's no money to be made in fighting games.
Yeah.
And you can watch that show from last week, and it was very insightful. My concern is, though, I have a concern, and then it's like, well, maybe it's just correction here. If Echo Fox pulls out, and that was a big name, big splash, like a premier sponsor or team pulls out, other VCs or other big teams would be like, well, if they didn't do it, and they didn't work out for them, we're not going to dip our foot in there. And I'm like, well, shit. That sucks, right? Because you want to see our good players get picked up. You want to see our community members make money. At least I do. So I'm like, well, I don't want them to know the truth. Is that what I'm scared of, right? That what Alan Benet said is truer than we care to admit. And in fact, this is just a correction of the market, and this is what was going to happen anyway, and better sooner than later, and let's all get back to reality.
I mean, this does feel like a market correction because remember, 2 years ago, everyone and their mother was starting up an esports team. Everyone and their mother was starting up the same sort of basic esports team too. It was Ravenclaw Esports, hashtag Feel the Claw, hashtag Caw. And it would just be, a guy with like, they sign 4 people, they wear the shirt, and then nothing. And it was just like everyone was chasing that idea of fighting game esports is going to be the big thing. And it turned out that's not the case. So now you've got that balance coming in, that correction where people are, there's still room for sponsors to come in. You look at what UIU is doing. You look at what Vitrix is doing. UIU selling clothing directly to the FGC. Vitrix selling controllers to the FGC. There's still room for sponsorship opportunities. There's still room for that. But you got to do it in a smart way. And a lot of these big companies, it didn't feel like they were doing it in a way that was going to work for the FGC. They were just taking what worked in other esports, slapping it on here and say, that will do it.
Yeah, too much.
All right,
it's too big.
So somebody in the chat brought up this Tom Cannon. If you don't know who Tom Cannon is, he's one of the creators or TOs of Evo. He also is one of the creators of Rising Thunder. He's obviously a created Shoryuken.
GGPO.
One of the OGs, pillars of the community, very important guy. He had a thread, and it's somewhat lengthy, so you guys stop whenever you want, but this is what he had to say on Twitter. Quote, Tom Cannon, I guess we're talking about FGC and esports again, so here's my point of view. Esports is still an emerging industry with big booms and busts. The FGC's grassroots nature forsakes the booms in exchange for solid sustainability. Here's how. Most esports teams are funded by venture capital. They also generate revenue for big sponsors, but in many cases, that revenue is not enough to earn a profit. For the companies sponsoring these teams, esports is basically marketing. This is where the boom and bust cycle of esports comes from. 1, some catalyst generates a ton of excitement. 2, investors drop hundreds of millions into esports companies. 3, the numbers just aren't there and the VC money dries up. 4, many, fueled by VC money, downsize or shut down. The theory behind all this investment is that esports will one day become the next enormous media category as millennials continue to cut cords and games become even more mainstream. I 100% believe this will be true one day, but we're not there yet. If you hit your game to this model, you're in for a wild ride. A down cycle in VC funding or sponsorship can kill your game. In this model, profit is primary motivator. When your game is no longer a likely place to seek profits, the industry will turn to other options. This is why grassroots like the FGC are critical. Our primary motivation, yada yada, it goes on. So in my opinion, the FGC should keep doing what we're doing while extending an open hand to esports teams and orgs to understand that we're trying to do and want to help. Just don't take that level of support as a perfect indicator of our scene's health. Long live the FGC, end quote.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. And I mean, I'm no expert, but that's what it feels like, is that someone like Echo Fox, and I think they're just the biggest example, went in with too much too quickly, as if this was just going to for sure blow up, and it didn't. And I don't think we really expected it to. I think when Echo Fox did what they did in 2017, we thought, well, maybe it will. Maybe they know something that we don't, and we'll keep our eyes open. But it's more than likely that they're just going crazy right now, and they probably aren't. They don't have their finger on the pulse of the FGC as much as a lot of the people that are just day in and day out part of the community. Mm-hmm. And so exactly like what Cannon said, we're on our way there. We're not there yet. Fighting games they're a weird entity, especially in the realm of esports, where they're not the biggest by far, and there's a lot of kinks to work out, and they're still in a very infantile stage in terms of all this. So one step at a time. You can't take shortcuts. You can't just suddenly hop on to like the now we're huge. It's like we're not. We're getting there. There's a lot of progress, but one day at a time.
So then should the new mentality for the FGC be, assuming this is the beginning of a downturn, and I think you could make that argument based on what's happening with Echo Fox.
I don't think it's a downturn. I think that we've always just been like, kind of doing this and getting a little bit higher. But Echo Fox made it look like we spiked up, and we never did. It was just Echo Fox was there, and Echo Fox was investing money, and that made us feel this way. But I don't think that with them doing what they were doing and them having like really retracted themselves is an indication that we're on the downtrend. I can see why you take that away and how it feels that way. But they're just one entity, and I don't think that they were making or breaking us.
It's not so much they're not necessarily a cause of this, but they're sort of a symptom. It's not so much that Echo Fox is leaving. It's that there's a big team coming in that isn't finding success, enough success at least to stick around in terms of sponsoring players. And is that gap going to be filled? I don't think it necessarily will be, at least not by these big organizations. You still have room for, your Mad Cats type sponsors, the ones that have a direct connection to the FGC. And I do feel that some teams can still find success in the FGC, but you have to approach it in a way unlike the way Echo Fox did. You can't just splash the cash and hope you're going to make a return that way. It's not going to work like that.
All right. We're going to have to leave it there. It's a shame. Tokido, if what happened with Justin Wong is any indication, Tokido probably get picked up real quick.
Oh, yeah.
It's hard to say, though, man. We're back in an era where a lot of top players are cycling through weird, shady-seeming sponsors at a quick rate again. It almost feels like we're back in that 2015-16 era. And you wonder, how many big sponsors are left actually taking big names.
That's what I'm telling you, John, is that this is maybe not a downturn in the popularity of the sport, but certainly a downturn in the money flowing into it. You can't deny it.
Yeah, probably. And as big of a deal as Echo Fox leaving and other potential money, investors seeing that and going, oh, well, then I better not. Yeah, you're right. But I just think, we still have entities like Red Bull and an entity like UYU who's, I think, doing it much more at the pace that the FGC requires. It's not like we're giving people like Born Free some sponsorships and having them show our stuff and like sending out, like not the biggest names always, sometimes that, but like little things here and there, and like here's our stuff and get that in front of a few people here and there and whatnot. But it's again, like Steve said, you're not just splashing a whole bunch of cash down in front of everybody. You're doing it at a slower pace. And I think there are plenty of people still doing that. And there are more serious sponsors that are still around now than there were a few years ago. Yes, the big deal Echo Fox is gone. But even with that gone, I think we're still at a higher level than we were pre-Echo Fox or slightly beforehand. So I think progress has still been made. It's just that Echo Fox basically gave everybody else an inflated view.
Yeah, I think that's a fair way to put it. And we're going to have to leave it there. So if you're new to the show and you're just joining us, maybe because SageM hosted or because you just came to this show for the first time, this is what we do every week. We talk about the current topics of not only the tournament results, but of other things like Mortal Kombat and Smash. And this is your panel here, Steve Ace King Off Sujeric and John Velociraptor Guerrero, who was kind enough to pull himself away from the Event Hub's desk to join us on the show like he does every week. The other thing we do on the show on occasion is bring on a guest, and that's what we're going to do now. So we'll say bye to John and Steve. We'll see you guys next week. Thank you very much. And coming up next is none other than Justin Wong, one of the most storied fighting game players of all time. We've had him on the show a couple times, and we always love to bring him back on. He just became a dad, so we have that in common.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I can trace a lot of my fighting game history through Justin Wong, from the first Evo I watched where, he picked Balrog and almost came back, to beat Daigo, to being an actually pretty competitive Marvel 3 player and playing him. And for me, and then him kicking my ass in top 8s and shit like that every single time.
Yeah.
To, now watching him again, seeing him go from sponsor to sponsor and end up making tons of money off the sport. It's been definitely the poster boy of U.S. fighting games and fighting games in general. Always cool to have him around.
And if I'm not mistaken, he's joining us now. Justin, are you there?
Hey, what's up? You guys hear me?
Yes, if he can hear me, though, I just have to say I hate him, right? I can't be nice if he's actually there.
Hey, man, Smash Ultimate is out. We can have our run back.
Oh, yeah, you want it? Okay.
I'm just saying. I do want the run back, though.
Justin, thank you so much for coming on the show. I'm sure you have a lot on your plate right now. Most importantly, a new addition. None other than, am I getting the name right? Harper Joy? Did I get that right?
Yes, Harper Joy Wong. So she's, a blessing. I cried like a bitch when she came out.
Not like a bitch, like a new father. I cried too, man. I have video of myself bawling.
Yeah, I instantly cried. I was like, in my head, I'm like, I should say congratulations. Oh my God, you did it. But then I just cried instead. So it's an amazing feeling, I would say. Amazing feeling.
That's great, man. How you feeling as a dad now, though? You know what I mean? Like, your life, has it hit you how much your life is changed now?
I feel like I have just a much stronger drive to support my family, I would say. Like, so I want to say that I'm going to be working a lot harder in terms of just games, branding, content, and just overall everything. And also being like just a dad, so I cut out a lot of things. Like I cut out a lot of things I like to do personally, like anime or mobile games are gone, and I don't even buy sneakers anymore. So, it's one of those things where I want to concentrate all my resources to give my daughter her best life.
Hey man, I'm sure this was by design, and it's not like you owe it to anybody, but I feel like you were pretty under the radar about being married and about to be a dad.
I kept it a secret. You know how the internet is, especially when you have sites like R Kappa that just wants to talk shit all the time. So I occasionally browse on there. I'm not gonna lie. And
we're all guilty of it.
It's one of those things where when I see when I see them talk smack about a fellow FGC member about their personal life, I'm just not a big fan of it, right? So that's kind of why I like to keep things a little bit more secretive, or keep it for an announcement later down the road type of thing, just because I would say it's not worth it.
So I think a big question a lot of people have is, with removing yourself from the team, with starting a lot of work on content creation, and with having a kid, how is this going to change your 2019 as a fighting game player?
So the biggest thing is, before I announced about Harper, I also said something about how in 2019 there will be no international travel on my end, And I would say when it comes down to it, if it's a tournament or a CPT, I will only participate in like the North America region. So that's kind of what changed for me in terms of 2019 travel season, Justin Wong.
Okay. I mean, there's a lot of topics to go to, but really where my mind's at is what the hell happened with Echo Fox, man? It seems like a premier team.
It is a premier team, and I'm very like happy to be ever a part of Echo Fox. But I had a contract for sure. I was listening to your show, and I had a contract waiting for me. And when I thought about it, I just thought I'm gonna try my own thing. I have a lot of relationships with a lot of companies, a lot of brands, and I'm always the type that really wants to like get their product out there. Because usually when you're on a team, you're like the team is the middleman. So let's say, okay, do your little sponsor tweets of the month and see you next month, right? There's no relationship with the player / company. And I kind of want to have a relationship with the company because I'm thinking about more in terms of a long term where possibly there could be a team J Wong. Possibly I could work at that company. Possibly I could have branded products from that company. That's kind of where I was thinking compared to just me doing, okay, let me get this free travel, collect a salary. All I have to do is just do like a robotic tweet and call it a day. I'm not a big fan of that. So I always want to do more. You guys know that I tweet a lot. I have over 100K tweets, and it's one of those things where I'm a gamer and I'm part of the culture. It's not just about tournament. I just love everything.
It's almost like the fatality model, right? One of the first esports stars, that guy had his own mouse pads and computer parts, and he does well for himself based on that. Is that where you envision yourself going? I see you're wearing a Victrix, looks like a hoodie or a sweatshirt right now.
It's cold in Vancouver, right? So I got this Victrix hoodie when I went down for the photo shoot for the Victrix announcement. So, I got to stay warm in these streets. And I mean, I definitely want, like, obviously my branded things. Like, I had, like, shirts in the past with shirt companies from, like, Jinx or Designed by Humans. So, maybe we can get a J Wong joystick. Maybe we get some more J Wong clothes. So, it's one of those things where, like, why not? Let's go for the moon. Let's shoot for the stars.
Hey! Speaking of photo shoots, Alon, could you call up this image here real quick? What is up with this boss ass photo here of you, man? Looking like the final boss in a game, or I don't know what. Like you're in Mission Impossible. I can't quite put my finger on it.
It's one of those things where when we went to the photo shoot, they really wanted to be more of a serious thing, like super serious, have like this murderous look type of thing, and I'm like, all right, cool. And the funny thing is that I don't know why, but like every time I do like one of these things, like if I'm on a show or if I do like a photo shoot, they always want me to have like this mean ass face. So I'm like, damn, like why can't I just be like a nice face? Like why do I have to be mean or angry?
Well, I mean, it looks pretty slick. The fight stick, is that on the market? What's going on with it? I'll let you get a plug in here for Victrix. Am I pronouncing that right? Victrix?
Yeah, Victrix. Victrix, yes. That fight stick, the Pro FS, is coming out pretty soon. I believe that they're having an announcement. I think in the next like week or two. So I would say stay tuned for that if you guys are interested in the Pro FS. Obviously, I can't say too much, but they're working very hard. Like obviously, they were part of the CPT tour. They had the Victrix headsets throughout the whole tour for 2018. So 2019 is going to be really, really big for Victrix, I would say.
So another big thing you've gotten into and seems to be kind of trending across these games as a whole is you started helping balancing some games. Am I right?
Yeah, I mean, I currently balance a mobile game called Hero Versus, mobile fighting game. Crystal Crisis from Nicholas, which is has Binding of Isaac characters, like a puzzle fighter game. And then also Power Rangers Battle for the Grid. Obviously, you guys saw a Power Rangers fighting game for console. So it's a dream come true, right? Like when it comes down to it, when you're a kid growing up, you always wonder like how do these games get made, or how can you get involved? And the fact that me being part of the FGC for so long, like it gave me the opportunity to like have a conversation with these companies to get involved with their games and helping balance it and making sure when the game comes out, a lot of people really enjoy it, like if it's broken or not, or if it's cheap. Because, people love cheap things, right? People love to just win. So it's one of those things where I want to help balance to the point where, like, yeah, I think this is fun. And don't worry, I'm not going to make the game lame. That's just my personal play style. I would say I know. I think I know what the consumer wants when it comes to playing a video game.
Do you feel like doing this has changed your view on the balance of games that are already played? Do you feel like you look back and go like, how the hell did that happen? I would have fixed that, or that's interesting. That makes sense now.
Well, I think of it as like there's a reason why they probably reached out to me, and also how I even worked at Nvidia.
Right.
Like they need like actual gamers. Pro gamers is a good example, or just really hardcore gamers are very good at finding bugs, really good at just spending hours and hours. Like because when you think about like other like software engineers or like any type of like testings done, I don't think those guys have the experience of just playing games over like 20 hours or like 16 hours a day, for example. Sometimes you just binge a game. So the fact that, like you're going to try things out, you're going to see, oh, I wonder what happens if I do this or do that. And you possibly could find a bug. And I would say I'm pretty good at finding like little bugs or little issues that other people easily find. So it's one of those things where it makes the game fun because I'm just there not to play the game, but try to break the game. And I think that's a very cool, unique way of saying like, please fix my product. Please tell me this product is a pass or go, or please tell me what I need to work on. It's really interesting in terms of that side of the field.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you a clickbaity type question based on all of this. What games were better designed? Newer, like MVC2 and earlier era games, or newer games?
Oh, what games are better designed in terms of the
Yeah,
balancing?
old era, so Third Strike and before, or after that. Which ones are more fun? Which ones do you like better?
Well, I mean, I love the old games more.
Okay.
But you have to think of it as like we have patches now, right? So you have to give me a game. So like Marvel 2 never had a patch, but the newer game gets a patch. But can we say like the newer game of like vanilla Street Fighter 4, right? Vanilla Street Fighter 4, in my opinion, was not as fun compared to like eventually the end of Street Fighter 4, right?
Yeah,
So
that makes perfect sense.
so it's one of those things like the vanilla version of a modern game, I don't think is better than the vanilla version of a old arcade game because I think they had to really play the shit out of the arcade games before they can release it because there was no patches back in the day. They just like, okay, this is the final product and this is it. Compared to now, we're like, oh, this is broken. All right, let me patch it. And then 2 weeks later, let me patch it. And then boom, it's a better game now, right? So I don't think you could count that. But I'm going to say old games just because I like broken shit. I mean, broken shit is really fun.
So you have games that you're balancing, and that's work for you. You have the sponsorship with Victrix. You're on that. Is that your team or is that your sponsor?
So I am sponsored by Victrix and the Gaming Stadium.
I was going
right?
to come to the Gaming Stadium. Gaming Stadium CS. What can you tell us about that? What's that all about?
Yeah, so it's pretty much like, how in America we have Esports Arena, GameWorks. This is pretty much a gaming stadium being built in.
Uh-oh. We're losing you, Justin. No, I think we lost a signal to him. Are we still on?
Oh, there we go.
Oh, there he is. We lost you for a second. You're back. Yeah, we got you now.
All right, my bad. My wife got Wi-Fi in this place, so no wire. Dude.
I heard you talking shit on Twitter about her Wi-Fi, dude.
I mean, I can't play Street Fighter 5 online. Even though it's already bad, I now it's even worse. So I don't get that many games in. But yeah, Gaming Stadium. It's a gaming stadium that's being built in Vancouver, the first of its kind, and they kind of want to just really like show some love to like all the gaming communities, right? All like Counter-Strike, Fortnite. Just FGC, and they've been working a lot with Kenny Ryu, who holds VSB Van Street Battle, and Van Street Battle is going to move to the gaming stadium, and they're going to hold a lot of like fighting games tournaments. They want to be part of like possibly the Pro Tour for next season for like all the games if possible, and they want to also improve the community in Vancouver as a whole, like flying out like really strong players like Captain L for Smash Ultimate, Pichu player, L2L anime player. And then even Zero Blast Street Fighter 5 player, right? So it's one of those things where they really want to focus more on bringing up esports in Canada because ultimately I would say Canada is still kind of far behind compared to USA when it comes to esports.
So I want to talk to you about the CPT and the new, the announcements that they've made. I want to talk to you about content creation, which you've been hitting really hard. I want to talk to you about Smash and Mortal Kombat 11. But first, I just want to round out this conversation about Echo Fox. Let's put a pin in, or a bow on it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how much you can say, but what happened in October where they just killed a bunch of players, knocked them right off, right in a really hot moment of the season when there's a bunch of big events. Like, why now? Why not wait like a week? Why not wait a month?
You know, that made me really sad. It also came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I even, asked like Echo Fox and stuff like, hey man, like, am I being chopped or what? Like, just let me know right now.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh no, you're good, right? You're very good. So I'm like, okay, but it was just super random. It just came out of nowhere. If I had to make an assumption of what happened, I believe it's because they spent too much money on the H1Z1 tour, because Twin Galaxies and Echo Fox are pretty much like together, right? They're pretty much the same company, and I would say that's kind of the reason why they had to do budget costs, in my opinion.
So bad investments led to, well, let's just chop all the FGC wing of this company or this team.
Well, it's not even they didn't even just only chop the FGC, right? They chopped the Gears of War team as well.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's one of those things where they just like, I mean, in 2017, right, we had a Foxconn, and if you looked at the picture, it was like 70 people in that picture in terms of like members of the team. That's a really big number when you come down to it, right? So, I mean, eventually, like it would make sense that cuts are bound to happen, especially when new games are coming out and they have to like get more players. There's no way they can keep all the players plus add more players at the same time, right? They added Shadowverse, they added Madden, and I'm pretty sure they're going to eventually add more people from different games, different teams.
What's the lesson to be learned by putting all your eggs in the H1Z1 basket?
You know, I actually don't know anything about the H1Z1 thing. I personally don't know. I just know that, when it comes down to investments, you should always have a backup plan when it comes to being on a team, right? Like, luckily, even though Punk got dropped, he instantly got with Team Rec, right? But for other people that got dropped, like JDCR, Saint, Scar, Dio, like I feel like they didn't really have a backup plan, right? So now they're just waiting for like Tekken 7 World Tour to come out again, or maybe the MK11 possibly tour comes out, right? You can say confidently that maybe the MK11 tour will come out because it's Warner Brothers, right? They've done it every year. So now they're just waiting for their opportunities. And so I would say, in my case, if they drop me, I could possibly get with another team right away, or I could just focus on doing myself right now, like what I'm doing right now with gaining all these sponsors, having all these meetings. Like I've been in calls for the last 2.5 weeks about, hey man, like how can we work together type of thing. So
with teams or sponsors?
Sponsors. I personally do not want to be on a team this year. I'm probably going to do the whole Daigo route. And, after acquiring all these sponsors, possibly, maybe Team J Wong. We'll see. I'll let you guys know on the internet. Slide in the DMs as usual, and we'll go from there.
All right. Well,
he wants to ask if you'll put him on the team.
I was obviously going to be his first choice, but that's outside the point. My question was, as advice for players at this point, do you think that given teams are sometimes so volatile, should people be spending all day playing and practicing to be the best? Should people be taking 2 hours out of their practice regimen to make a video that day? What do you think some of these high-level players who want to make fighting games, a bigger part of their career should be doing to make that happen?
So, in my opinion, when you think about just FGC content, most of the FGC content are created from actual content creators that are really big fans of FGC. Not really as players, I would say, right? So I think a lot of players are losing a lot of opportunities because they're not branding themselves. They really just want to win tournament, want to be the best, like you're saying, and I don't think that's the right way, especially where FGC is not where you can make a lot of money from, right? Less than 1% can be sustainable and making money to live a comfortable, satisfied life. Everyone else, they're grinding, they're trying to hustle. They're trying to make this top 8, and even if you make top 8 and you get 7, what in the premiere that's 250. So even then, that's trash, right? So, in my opinion, I feel like in terms of branding, you might as well do a Twitch stream, right? You might as well do some YouTube content. Like people that are good examples of doing like Twitch streams is like El Chacate, right? El Chacate, he's been killing it with just the Twitch streams and, you know, pushing it forward. And he even got a TGS to really sponsor him to go to their event and stuff, right? So doing stuff like that, getting yourself out there, you're going to get like opportunities. Obviously, it's not as easy because most people are going to want to talk to like people that are already established to the top, right? I get a lot of emails, I get a lot of calls, and I usually forward them to like X player I think that's worthwhile, that I think deserves a chance, that I think deserves an opportunity. So a lot of times, I think a lot of players, they just wait. And the fact that you're waiting is a horrible decision, in my opinion. Like, if you want to really push yourself, get yourself noticed, because most of these companies, they don't know about the fighting game community, man. They watch the stream, they're looking at the results, and that's all they see. They're not watching the whole 3 days worth of stream, right? And then that's also another thing that hurts the players as well. Tournaments, so you know how like tournaments in general, they have let's say a flyer for like, these are our commentators for the weekend. So you have all these flyers, but they don't really show it in terms of these are our players that are,
that's a really good point,
going to be here this weekend. So the fact that, like, you know, you can say, okay, you have like the Justin, the Diegos, the Taquitos, but everyone knows who are the top players, right? Even if you're not sponsored or not, they know that you're a top player. They know that you're a non-sponsored top player. So if you made a flyer, like, these are the players expected to be here this weekend in terms of a flyer, I think it will make more companies and more teams be like, oh shit, let me check out these players. This guy's not sponsored. I want to check out his video. I want to see how good he really is, right? The fact that, like, let's say at SCR, El Chacate eliminated Taquito, right? You would think, boom, he get a sponsor, but it was off-streamed. And I would say not many people knew that El Chacate was even at SCR, because it's either if you follow this person on social media, that's it, because it wasn't on stream.
Good point. We asked our Discord to put some questions out for you, and we have one or two here. Whenever in our Discord asks, what are you going to do if your child doesn't like fighting games and would rather play Fortnite?
I mean, if she wants to play Fortnite, then go ahead. That's way more money.
But what if she doesn't like fighting games?
If she doesn't like fighting games, I mean, how can you not like fighting games?
Throw her in the volcano.
It's so fun. I mean, you're gonna like Smash. She'll definitely like Smash.
Yeah,
you can't say no to Smash, right? As long as she doesn't click no whack ass grappler, then we in there.
Okay.
You know, we were talking about Smash earlier in the show, and we were talking about how some of the top 8 were, what were the ages, like 14 and 15?
14 and 15,
And the question we had was, how old were you when you started playing, you know, competitive? I won't say pro because pro didn't really exist at the time, but certainly taking it seriously and competing at tournaments. How old were you?
I was 13.
Dang.
So I went to my first tournament 13, and then I won B5, which was before Evo, and at 15.
Wow. So what do you think when you're seeing these kids in top 8s at Genesis 6 that were that age?
I mean, it's awesome, right? The fact that esports and just in general is just growing, and you know, like you're seeing all these like people and have an opportunity to get a chance, and they see like, oh, like this is something that I can do in the future. It's getting more accepted now, right? Like when I was playing, people were like, oh, you play video games? You're so childish, right? Even like when I go to a family gathering, like my cousins would be like, oh, you're still playing video games? Like that type of like snarky comment and everything. And I'm like, yeah, you know. So it's one of those,
and I'm making bank, right?
Yeah, it's one of those weird situations, right? Because that's just how people back in the day perceived video games. But now, you know, people like I could see like, oh, like you're getting good at Fortnite and you could get better. Let me hire a Fortnite coach. Like that could be a possible thing from like a parent, and that was like now, like, right? So if like Harper wants to be like a pro, this player, I could possibly look into like hiring a coach for her to like get better at the game. Like that's definitely possible now.
That's crazy. How you feeling about Smash?
You know, I love Smash. I always been a fan of Smash, even before Ultimate came out. So I personally think this game, Smash Ultimate, could possibly be the best fighting game of all time.
Dang.
Dude, I feel the same way. I'm not even
This
kidding,
game is
man.
so good.
It's so fun.
It's so fun. It's so good, right? And like, there's so many good characters. It's not really like broken to the point where like the other Smash game where like this is the guaranteed top 3. Like the fact that you had Pichu in the grand finals at Genesis. Come on, that was so tight. And then each region has like their own like top player, best top player, and they all play different characters, right? You had Salem plays Link now. Then there's like Foulskate that plays Ness. Then you have like Ike, a Lucina from MK Leo. Like you have so many characters that are represented in just Smash Ultimate right now.
Why don't you play it professionally? Why don't you take it like one of your games?
The problem is that Smash is too hard, especially for newcomers. And the fact that I don't think you can I don't think you could play 2 main games at the same time, personally. Because I think it's too hard to do that.
I mean, you've done Street Fighter and Marvel on occasion. You've even dabbled in other games at the same time. I saw you win the first Killer Instinct tournament and the first Mortal Kombat tournament here and there. And
yeah, see, but then the numbers are so much smaller in those games. Like, I love those games as well, but like when you think about the numbers and the amount of top players versus like the amount of players entrants, it's such a big difference, right? So, you know, Smash has so many good top players, and they have so much history when it comes to Smash 4 or Melee or Brawl, and then you're playing Street Fighter 5, which is also another game that's like considered as a world game where you have so many different top players, and the way the game is, it's not easy to be consistent unless you're Tokido. So I would say when it comes to stuff like that, like look at Kazunoko, right? He kind of just stopped playing Street Fighter 5 to focus only on Dragon Ball and like other games, right? Same thing with Goichi. Like Goichi was godlike in Street Fighter 5, and then eventually he's like, you know what? I don't want to play Street Fighter 5 anymore because I want to focus on Dragon Ball. And then the last time he entered Street Fighter 5 is he played Marn and he lost to Marn. Like, let's be serious, right? So I think it's one of those things where you can't really main all those games anymore because of the amount of money and the amount of entrants. Because when it comes down to it, a specialist will be favored to win that tournament.
Speaking of specialists and top players, how do you feel about the way they treat HBox?
Man, you know, that makes me sad. You know, I personally think that a lot of people in the FGC, like from our side, really appreciate Hungrybox.
We love HBox. Yeah, we're like every Ice Climbers and Puff player. We're like, that's so sick.
Yeah, but then when it comes to the Smash community, like they don't like that lame shit. And I think one of those things where I understand why, because Mango is the god of all gods in the Smash community, and he is just a super rushdown player. So it makes everyone looks exciting. Like you could tell from like people's gameplay that they don't want to play lame. Like the fact that just one of the matches, Hungrybox versus Plup literally had the game won. He had the game won, but he was like, you know what? I got bored. I'm gonna go in and go for a random up smash, and that's where Hungrybox blocked it, punished him for it, and killed him for it. He literally killed him after that one sequence. And he could have just sat back, do hop jump lasers all day, and forced him to come at him, and then one forward air, one up air, one nair, one up smash from a reaction anti-air would have won the game for him, but he just got bored. And I think Hungrybox is content with just playing that style because he knows that he can out-patience those players because they don't want to play the way he plays.
Justin, it sucks that we're almost out of time, but I have 2 more things that I want to talk to you about. One is, give me your thoughts on Mortal Kombat 11.
Mortal Kombat 11. I mean, I love playing Mortal Kombat X. Playing on my stream like back in the day with like, you know, shooting rockets and trolling. That's kind of what that's what made the game really fun to me. And so I went to the reveal party and I was just playing the game, and man, I played it for like 3 hours straight, and it was really, really fun to me. Like just playing Raiden, trying out his new moves and the other characters. I found it like it's just a fresh of breath air. And I like the fact that they changed a lot of things about the game in terms of mechanics where the meter is different. Like it's a timer based meter. All the EX moves are done by X amount of commands. Like they made everything so different and not the same compared to other fighting games that does like a kind of a copy paste type of situation. And I know a lot of people weren't really big fans of MK11 because of, you know, they played MKX, right? So I mean that's the same thing. Street Fighter 4 players hate Street Fighter 5. Third Strike players hate Street Fighter 4. So you're always gonna have situations like that. But if you're a multi-fighting game player, you're gonna appreciate Mortal Kombat 11 for what it is, because you know overall we played way worse games than, you know, the current modern games.
Speaking of current modern games, this is a question from Ebiyet. I think I'm pronouncing that right, from our chat, Who's top tier in Power Rangers?
Oh, I mean, I don't think I could say actually, but
Is it a character that hasn't been revealed yet?
I feel like I don't think I could say, but it's a 3v3. Anything could happen. I would say.
All right, man.
Who do you play in Smash?
Who do I play in Inkling?
Oh, okay.
I gotta play
It's
Inkling.
gonna be a good rematch.
But ever since I watched MK Leo's Ike, man, I feel like I could just play Ike just because he's so easy.
That's your
so
kind of
easy,
character, man.
Yeah, I know. I'm just jump smash, jump forward air all day. That's it.
Well, I'll play you next tournament for sure. That'll be fun.
Dude, I'll be at Texas Showdown, man. I'll
right.
into it.
That's a ranking event. We'll look forward to it. Justin, congratulations again on not only the recent success, post what some people thought was maybe the end of leaving Equifox was kind of the end of an era, but it looks like you're doing perfectly fine. But more importantly, congratulations on the new addition, Harper Joy, and to you and your family. And thank you for coming on the show, man. We appreciate it.
Thanks so much. And I will see you guys only at NA events. And yeah, I mean, just a couple weeks, just keep out on the lookout on the tweets. There will be some announcements and more to come.
Awesome, man. Can't wait.
Right.
Thank you so much. Best to the family. We'll see you guys.
Peace.
That brings us to the end of the show. Shout out to Justin. You can take him with your peach or what?
I think so, man. I mean, I'm 1-0 versus him so far in Smash and in 0 other games. He's kicked my ass in every other game I've ever played. So, oh well.
All right, guys. Thank you, everybody who watched the show. Thank you to Justin, and thank you to Sejan for the host. Thank you to Steve and John. That's been the show.
The last thing I'd like to say about Justin, just to gas up our guest, is that he really does love video games.
Yeah.
Like, every time you've ever seen a sponsored tweet from him and been like, nah, he's been sucked up by the machine.
He's shilling.
It's not true.
No.
Like, he loves video games. He loves playing. He loves talking trash. He loves fighting games. And it's good that we have someone like that at the top of our scene.
Absolutely. And we're grateful for him to be on the show. Final shout outs to Alon for switching. Thanks, bud.
Nah.
Yep. That's a good note to leave on. We'll see you guys next week.